I'm really tired. I still haven't went back to bed. I just ate lunch, but I've been watching some videos about the millennials and the Gen Zs talking about why they're so depressed and they're this and they're that, and that they've seen all the changes that they've seen, uh, and basically this video is for them. If they think they've seen changes, let me tell you, I'm 81. You all know I'm 81, and some of you won't listen. You won't know that when you listen to this. But I Googled AI and asked them. I was born in 1944, and I asked what was the most revolutionary um, events that happened during the time of 1944 till now that brought major changes to the world, to the United States and the world, actually. So this is what they said, and I'm going to read it to you. Born in June 1944, you arrived at one of the most pivotal moments in human history. That month began with D-Day, June 6th, the turning point of World War II, and concluded with the GI Bill being signed into law, June 22nd, which fundamentally built the American middle class. Since your birth, the world has shifted from a mechanical, analog society to a digital, hyper-connected one. Here are the revolutionary changes that have redefined life between then and now. The technological and digital revolution. In 1944, a computer was a room-sized machine like ENIAC or even a person doing manual calculations. The transistor, 1947, arguably the most important invention of your lifetime, it allowed electronics to shrink, leading to the radio, the television, and eventually the computer. The internet and connectivity. You grew up in a world of handwritten letters and landlines. Today we have near instantaneous global communication, the shift from the information age to the AI age. Artificial intelligence in the early 2020s is as significant as the Industrial Revolution. Space exploration. You were 13 when Sputnik launched and 25 when humans walked on the moon. Today we are witnessing the commercialization of space and plans for Mars. Medical and biological breakthroughs. The medical landscape of 1944 was vastly different. Penicillin was only just becoming widely available for soldiers. Vaccines. You were a child during the height of the polio scares. The Salk vaccine, 1955, changed childhood forever. DNA and genetics. The structure of DNA wasn't even discovered until you were 9 years old, 1953. Now we can map the entire human genome and use CRISPR technology to edit genes to cure diseases. Longevity. In 1944, the average U.S. life expectancy was about 65. Today, thanks to advances in heart surgery, organ transplants, and imaging, MRIs, CT scans, that has extended significantly. Social and cultural sea changes. The social fabric of the USA has been rewoven multiple times since the 1940s. Civil rights and equality. When you were born, Jim Crow laws were the law of the land, and in much of the U.S. The civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, the women's liberation movement, and the push for LGBTQ plus rights have fundamentally changed who has a seat at the table. The Suburbs and Infrastructure. The Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 created the interstate system, transforming the U.S. from a nation of small towns and dense cities to a suburb, car-centric culture. Domestic life then versus now. 1944, communication, rotary phones, telegrams, and letters. Media, radio, newspapers, and cinema. Energy, coal-heavy, limited electrification. Shopping, local grocers, catalogs. The revolutionary summary, the most profound change is likely the speed of change itself. For most of human history, a person died in a world that looked much like the one they were born into. For your generation, you have had to adapt to multiple new worlds within a single lifetime, moving from the shadow of the steam engine to the dawn of artificial intelligence. And it says, would you like me to dive deeper into a specific decade of your life, or perhaps look at a particular industry like medicine or aviation evolved since 1944? Yes, I'm going to say yes. And it just takes it seconds to bring this stuff up. Since you were born in June 1944, literally the month the modern world was being forged in the fires of World War II. It is fascinating to see how two specific fields, medicine and aviation, have moved from miracles to everyday essentials. Here's a look at that revolutionary journey. The evolution of medicine from survival to DNA. When you were born, medicine was largely reactive. Doctors treated you after you got sick. Today, medicine is proactive and personalized. The antibiotic revolution, 1940s to 50s. In June 1944, penicillin was the world's newest miracle drug. Rushed to the front lines for D-Day. Before this, a simple scratch or throat infection could be fatal. You are part of the first generation in human history to grow up with the security of antibiotics. The cardiac breakthrough, 1944 to 1960s. Ironically, the very year you were born, 1944, the first blue baby operation was performed at Johns Hopkins, proving for the first time that surgeons could operate on the human heart. By the time you were 23, the first human heart transplant had occurred in 1967. The genetic code, 1953 to 2020s. You were 9 years old when Watson and Crick identified the double helix structure of DNA. Today, we don't just look at DNA, we edit it. In the last few years, 2020 to 2026, mRNA technology, the same tech behind the COVID-19 vaccine, has opened doors to potential vaccines for cancer and malaria. Imaging and robotics. You grew up in the era of the X-ray. Now we have MRIs that see through soft tissue, and surgeons use Da Vinci robots to perform operations with microscopic precision from across the room. The evolution of aviation, from propellers to space tourism. In June 1944, the sky was filled with the roar of propeller-driven B-29s and 551 Mustangs. Aviation has since shrunk the world. The jet age, 1950s, when you were a toddler. Commercial flight was a luxury for the ultra-rich flown in loud, vibrating propeller planes. By the time you were 14, the Boeing 707 entered service, making the jet age a reality and allowing people to cross the Atlantic in hours rather than days. The wide-body revolution, 1970, when you were 25, the Boeing 747 jumbo jet took flight. This was revolutionary because it made air travel affordable for the middle class. It turned flying from a special occasion into a global utility. Digital skies and stealth. Aviation shifted from cables and pulleys to fly-by-wire computer-controlled systems. In the 1980s and 90s, stealth technology made planes invisible to radar, and today drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, have changed both warfare and photography. Modern day, 2026, we are currently seeing the rise of EVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, basically flying taxis, and a renewed push for supersonic travel, like the Boom Overture, which aims to bring back the speed of the Concorde but with 21st century efficiency. Comparison 1944 versus today. State of the art in 1944 and state of the art in 2026. 1944, mass producing penicillin, first heart surgeries. 2026, AI-driven drug discovery, CRISPR gene editing. 1944, propeller planes, first experimental jets, Me-262. 2026, electric planes, reusable rockets, SpaceX, autonomous drones. 1944, high-risk basic navigation by Stars Radio. 2026, triple redundant computers, GPS, near-zero accident rates. And of course it says, would I like to hear about how the kitchen of the future evolved from the 1940s to the smart homes of today, or perhaps how your hometown might have changed since the 1940s. So, folks, all of you millenniums and Gen Zs are saying you're depressed and you don't know what to do with your life and the changes and all of that we back then ruined your life. Well, look what people, just me alone, I've been depressed all my life, folks. Gen Zs and millenniums. But I had to work my way through it. I had to fight all these changes I've seen in my lifetime. I've seen more than you could even think, and went through all of that changes but I, for whatever reason, I just went with the flow of it all. I mean, what else are you gonna do? You just pick up your bootstraps and go on. So look that up, all the changes and stuff that happened since June of 1944 to now in the United States and or even the world. So I thought that would be interesting for y'all and you millenniums. Maybe you could take a second look at your life. You got it a lot easier now than what I had growing up. I literally was born during a war, World War II. And then off my life went. So remember, a merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit will dry up your bones. And as a man thinks in his heart, that's the way he will go. Proverbs 23:7. And if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right. Love y'all. Hugs and kisses. Talk to you later.